Welcome to Know Your Money, where we will explore our relationship with money and how the psychology of it impacts our financial decisions, as everyone thinks about money differently. In our podcast, we'll be presenting a variety of financial topics in an easy-to-understand way, which we hope will assist you with managing your money.
Hi, I'm Craig Finch, co-owner of Growth Financial Planning, an independent financial planning practice, and I've been a financial planner since 1986.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bronwyn Waner, co-owner of Growth Financial Planning. I'm a certified financial planner, and our philosophy at our company is to grow yourself to grow your wealth.
Hi, everyone. My name is Warren Grimsley. I'm a director at Rogue Media and help facilitate this wonderful podcast. My main goal here is to try and understand what these two lovely people are saying so that we can all understand.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Know Your Money. Bianca, good to see you back in the studio.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Just wanted to give us a bit of background about you and what you do and your business.
Cool. So my name is Bianca, and I am the founder of D is for Divorce, and I'm also a confidence coach. And I have a background in law with a specialization in family law and a keen focus on divorce and kind of everything related there too.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So we spoke about marriage regimes last week and the three different types.
Correct.
And the one that I just wanted to chat a bit more about, because I think most people have a contract, most do, and they'll get married with accrual.
Correct, yeah.
Antenuptial with accrual, right?
That seems to be the most preferred one at the moment.
Yeah, and that means that what I bring into the marriage, I take out with an inflation linked if the divorce happens.
Mm-hmm.
And what is accrued from that point of time, what is the growth of the marriage gets split between
the parties.
The two parties.
I'm going to simplify it.
Things.
So I'm going to simplify. So what happens is you can have starting values, right? So let's say you're both well established. You have certain assets in your name. Sometimes in the ANC, you'll have exclusions, which is, I think, what people want to look out for, right?
Yes.
And then let's say you have a starting value. If you have nothing to your name, let's say you're really young, you're getting married, your starting values are zero. Okay. Then whatever you accrue in the marriage, or however your estates grow as individuals, right? Because you're now seen as two individual people in this marriage. And let's say you decide to get divorced, what you are worth versus what I am worth. We take those two amounts. The bigger of the amount, we subtract the lesser from the bigger, and the difference, you have to pay me half of the difference.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so that's how it works. Not split down the middle. It's kind of the difference between the two estates. Half of that is paid to the person who has the lower of the estates.
Yeah.
So both estates have to be worth the same in the end, basically.
Well,
50-50.
pretty much, yeah.
So now talking about that part where you exclude things, and now it is a little bit more of an established
individual.
Yes. So for the person that has established stuff, they do want to protect their business and their wealth.
Absolutely.
But how do we help or guide the person that hasn't done that if they do get divorced and that person now has built up that entire business and has nothing? What would you recommend that they should focus on, or what should the antenuptial? Can it say something like, you can keep that, but this is what I need to be able to get out?
Sure.
How would you structure it?
So again, as I said before, I mean, nobody says I do to say I don't, right? So nobody goes into an antenuptial contract thinking, oh, this is going to end in a divorce. So yes, the person who's of the bigger value will obviously want to safeguard themselves. I think it's also important to remember that upon divorce, you can agree to divorce however you want to, right? The ANC,
often people are in a bad space.
And if you are the one who has been out-earned, you don't have the money to really fight. And that's where you get out-litigated, right? So you want to safeguard yourself. I would say, and a very good piece of advice that I received is chat to somebody in finance, kind of to how to structure your financial well-being when you're entering into a divorce. Look at certain exclusions that they are putting into the ANC. Read what you're signing. Because, I mean, that's a standard legal principle. If you sign it, you're deemed to know what you're signing.
Yeah.
If you have questions, ask the questions. And if you have a good relationship with somebody that you're about to marry, then ask those questions, ask the hard questions and say, look, I don't feel comfortable that you're excluding your pension fund.
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable that you're excluding your retirement annuities. I don't feel comfortable that your business is completely excluded.
Like, can you exclude pensions and RIs? That's quite scary.
You can exclude pretty much anything.
And if, for example, they excluded something, can that marriage contract say, fine, you can exclude my business, but you need to provide an income for me if I stop working?
You can.
For so long. Could you put that in the original?
You could, sure. But remember, you've got a starting value of your business. So your value is based on that value of the business at the time of entering into the ANC.
So
if your business increases in value during the course of the marriage, that increase then forms part of your estate. So you are benefiting from any increase that's happening.
But you can exclude your business completely.
Exactly.
You can exclude the business completely.
So that's what I'm referring to.
That's what
you're trying to protect people against.
Correct, yeah.
Often people exclude their whole business and then the partner stays at home and they get a salary from the husband or the wife.
Yes.
Let's call it 30,000 Rand a month.
Sure.
If they get divorced, that 30,000 Rand goes because they have no
they've got
job.
no rights. Yeah, they've got no job in essence.
And they don't necessarily need that. So could you say, like in your contract, whatever you pay me as a amount for staying at home, that needs to stay with a 10% increase. So not putting a Rand value on the 30,000 Rand. Could you have like a clause in there that says, so that's what they go to at the end where you said the spousal maintenance.
Yeah.
Could you kind of have your spousal maintenance clause in the beginning of your ANC?
You could possibly add that in as a clause, but again, if the partner wants to outdo you and they can out-litigate you, the court can then be approached to say, look, so let's switch it a little bit. Let's say you do get divorced and then the person who's receiving that salary then remarries.
Yeah, but
right?
that
So
could
then you
all
have to go
be
back
in
to
that
court.
clause.
Yeah, that would be a very extensive antenuptial contract, and you can do that, sure.
I was going to ask, we're assuming that these are, say, business owners, for example, right? Surely there are mechanisms by which that business owner can, if he sees the divorce coming, can devalue his business.
Absolutely.
And surely that happens as well.
So much. People transfer assets into other people's names. It's easy to hide money, right?
That's what I'm saying.
No, sure. So you can agree to it. You can have the
these
best
contracts
intentions.
can be incredible.
They can be amazing.
Can be incredibly detailed, but a devious person or somebody who feels the need to do this can easily start to do this.
Absolutely.
Without your knowledge.
So then what's your biggest piece of advice? What's the biggest thing a person should do?
I think be realistic about what you're doing. And I think, sure, the best piece of advice is don't do it. No, I'm joking. I think just have good intentions. And I think when you get divorced, understand that there was a time when you really loved this person and you can respect one another still and just do what's right.
And that's why you focus on mediation then.
Yeah, that's why I prefer mediation, because oftentimes when you get involved in litigation, remember, lawyers, we provide a service, right? And the bigger the fight, the bigger the fee. And so sometimes that kind of fuels.
And when you're going between, when you're playing that Chinese whispers game with somebody in the middle, it's almost like when people are talking to each other on social media.
Yes.
They can be real nasty, but if you put them in a room together, they won't be that nasty.
No, absolutely. So that's why mediation is, for me, it's why I've taken myself out of practice and gone into mediation, because I feel like the parties, sometimes with emotions, you kind of tend to make the wrong decisions.
Especially with fear. If you are the lesser earner and you are worried about your lifestyle and, you're not even trying to be greedy. You just expect to be able to live the same level of life for a certain amount of time. And someone fights you on it. That's not a nice place to be.
And you can be bullied into agreeing to something that you wouldn't ordinarily because you're so scared of your future and kind of that security. And so oftentimes you'll find parties being bullied because they don't have the money to fight back.
But I think when you get married, it's a wonderful, happy time.
Sure.
But you got to be aware of whatever you're signing.
Absolutely.
And if your partner's got like bad intent kind of thing, I'm leaving my business out completely, or this home is going to be left out of the marriage, that's a warning sign of what could happen in the future.
Sure.
You just got to be aware of what you
have to be aware
of what you're signing, and maybe more truthful to each other. Of why you're leaving the business out, because you can hide everything in your business and at the end of the day say, I've got nothing, so I can't give you anything.
Absolutely. And again, we all do it with good intentions, right? But I think if you have a conversation with your fiance and they have their back up against the wall and like, hang on, what's the story? Then you need to kind of consider where you're going, because marriage is about growing together and creating wealth together. And wealth is not necessarily financial wealth. It's wealth in every aspect, right? So if that conversation is happening and it's not being received well, I would say then really be quite calculated in what you sign and how you do it.
Yeah.
B, do you have like a one-pager or something with like questions you should ask your spouse that we can maybe put on our website and clients can go and download?
I don't, but I will have one.
Yeah, I think that would just be so helpful.
Yeah. Sure.
And, maybe like another page of what to do in your antenuptial contract or something like that. Let's just give some free
absolutely
content to people to help.
Sure, I'm happy with that.
Can I ask, if you come across a hostile divorce and you're mediating it, how do you approach it?
So the thing with mediation is the parties have to be open to mediation. Okay. So you have to come with the intent to settle. And if you've got parties who are very acrimonious, there's something called parallel mediation where I speak to you separate from that person. We talk separately. I kind of act like a conduit between the two parties.
Yeah.
But the intention has to be to mediate. And sometimes if there's abuse, it's very difficult to mediate because the one party is then acting out of fear. So the parties have to be willing. And if it is too acrimonious, then I would have to put my hands up and say.
So mediation can't be court ordered. It has to be willing.
You can be court ordered, but if it fails, then I would have to issue. There's a particular document that you sign that said, look, we can't mediate this.
Right, okay.
Sure. I think if you go into mediation, both parties should realize that you both be unhappy at the end of the day. And if you're both unhappy, then that's the best solution.
You have to lose equally, right? Yeah. Compromise equally, but also gain equally. And I think that's what I like about mediation is that we're sitting down and we're saying, listen, I'm going to give you this, but I also need this in return.
Yes.
And the principle is, you may not love each other anymore, but you decided to enter into this together. There was a mutual respect. There was love here once.
Yeah.
And you may have hurt each other, but the reality is respect each other enough to say, this is fair. This is what I think is fair, particularly when it comes to children.
Yes.
I feel like the court and the money, guys, the money you are spending on attorneys can be better put towards your children. It makes zero sense to me.
Yeah.
That is for me.
That's a really good way to say it to parents, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what are you fighting for? You're fighting each other.
And now your child's not going to have money for university.
100%. Yeah. So that is, for me, if you are somebody who actually is for the best interest of your children, that should be your guiding principle. Yeah. And also, in divorce, remember that the better your co-parent can do, the better they can do for your child.
Exactly.
Right? So I've lost clients because particularly women will come on and take him to the cleaners. But why? Because taking him to the cleaners means he can't help you.
Yes.
And he definitely cannot help your children.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's kind of the mindset you need to have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, B. That
You're
was
welcome.
fabulous.
Thank you.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
guys.
you.
Appreciate it.
Till next time.
Till next time.
Toodles.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this podcast, would like to subscribe, please visit our website, www.growthfp.co.za. The information we have provided in this podcast is our personal opinion. For more detailed information, please discuss your financial situation with a financial planner.